In this tutorial I'm going to explain to you how to use SrcDemo2. There haven't been a lot of tutorials about this before, so this will be the first one. This is for BHOP specific, so well, it will work for anything really, but since there haven't been any for BHOP itself, this might be of a lot of use if you want to render your videos in 60 FPS. First you have to download the file, which you can do by googling SrcDemo2. Take the third link for forums.steampowered. It's a thread posted by Windpower. He's also the creator of this program. Scroll down. There's a lot of information here about the program itself. There's even how to use it, but I'm essentially going to explain this in the video itself. You need a working Java installation, as well as the Dokan Library and SrcDemo2 itself. The Dokan Library you can download by clicking on this link. It will download the installer automatically. And for SrcDemo2, you have to click on the latest version. It's also got the most downloads right here. Click this link to actually download it. Once they're done, click on Show in Folder. You can close your web browser now. I've already got an installation, but I'm gonna, that's not really gonna be of too much help. Anyway, simply run it, select the folder to install it, and that's really it. In the end, you will get a run SrcDemo2, which you can select. But first, you have to install Dokan Library. Double click it. I also have this, so it's not going to be of too much use, but really, the whole installer is, you click next once, and it's done. Now, I'm going to navigate to my SrcDemo2 installation path, which is right here. It's on my C disk, which is an SSD, so it's going to perform extra fast. It doesn't really matter if your SrcDemo is on here, but rather the output directory where your frames will save, as well as your client installation. Let me find where that is. It's also on my C disk. Let's see, games, Steamapps. There we go. Now, first open up SrcDemo2. It's this file. It will show you in the GUI. We have to select the folder where the game will save its frames. It's the best if you create a new folder in your GarrysMod directory called SrcDemo, because it will prove to be easier when we get to the game part itself. Make sure this folder is empty and copy the path and paste it right here. Now this is where the final frames go. I'm using the output directory right here. Also make sure this is empty. It's not necessary, but it's useful. First, the video part. There's a lot of settings that you can use. For this one, I'm gonna with PNG. It saves a lot of hard disk space. If you have a fast CPU, this is very recommended. You also have TGA, which is uncompressed. It creates, I think, about 6 megabyte files per frame, and you're gonna have a lot of frames. So use this if you have a lot of hard disk space, but not very good CPU. I've used both. PNG I've used for all the short runs, and TGA I'm using for long runs that I want to be done quickly. Now, your final video FPS, since YouTube allows 60 FPS, this has really become the standard, and it's going to look very pretty if you set it to 60 FPS. Now, your motion blur blend rate is really how many frames are going to be merged into one frame. Sorry about that, I have my numlock 5 key set to end my video recording, so I have to use my normal numbers. Well, the higher this is set to, the better quality you're going to have, because the more frames are going to be packed into one. As you can see, changing this will change your host frame rate. The higher this is, the longer it's going to take you to record your video. So there's multiple things that you have to take into account. You want the outcome video quality, as well as the time it's going to take you to render it. I usually leave my PC on overnight to render these things, so I set it to quite high. I used to do my first videos were in 30 frames per second, or frames per frame, which comes down to this, which really goes very slowly, but if you leave it on overnight, it doesn't really matter. Now, I've dropped down to 15 because the difference is, well, it's noticeable, but not that visible. And personally, I like the way you can actually see the frames blended into each other. So now I'm using 15. If this is still taking too long, you can go down, but I don't suggest going to 1 because 1 will look very strange. I've never used 5, so if you can, use 15. Your shutter angle is how long your camera is open. 360 is going to capture everything, so for bunny hop this is recommended. If you want to know more about it, click this link and there's a whole explanation about how exactly it works. I've read through it. I thought maybe I can figure out what the best angle is, but 360 just proves to have the best quality. Now you can also use Gaussian blending, or if you select it, turns into Gaussian variance. I never really understood that. But what this does is, I think it comes from Gaussian blur. It kind of, when blending the frames, it also makes use of Gaussian blur so that it will look a bit smoother. I've always had this enabled. I think it costs more CPU power, so you can try turning it off, but I think it results in a better quality. When this is done, you click activate. I shouldn't be here right now. I think that screwed it up. Don't have this folder opened. I was going to explain to you why not, but I was already too late. Let's see if anything, okay. Oh crap, before that I forgot, you have to set your audio output to disabled, because unless you want the audio, of course, which I never do, I've always just used music over it. So set it to disabled if you only want the video. Yeah, this is the latest version. It's not going to be updated anymore, so you don't have to do anything with this. Again, once it's done, click activate. As you can see here, this folder just changed. It changed into a virtual folder, which is, I think, the reason you use Java. Java's not really fast, but it does support this. It's creating a virtual folder to which the game will save frames. So it will write to, I think, memory, so that this program can use and manipulate the images quicker. To really see the effect of this, we have to go in game, which I will do right now. When your game is loaded up, you have to make sure you can access the developer console. By default, this will be disabled, so you have to go to Options, Keyboard, Advanced, and click Enable Developer Console here. I've already got it checked. Now keep this window open so that you can actually press your console key, which is by default the tilde key. To use this, you have to have a valid demo. Usually you record demos by typing record demo name, and this will save it to the root directory of your GarrysMod folder. And then when it's done, you type stop. And I'll show you here where this is the root directory. It will save it to right here. I'm going to use an already existing demo. I've got a whole collection of demos right here, which I still have to render. I don't have these maps installed right now, so I'll have to pick one that I have for sure. Let's see, I know I have this one. So when you have a demo, paste it in your root directory. Now you can go back in game. Now when you type play demo, you can see the file is now here. What you have to do now is you have to use the Startmovie command to actually pick up the right, to tell the game where to save the frames. Let's switch monitors again. What we want it to save right here. So basically what we set in game again, you set to the Startmovie to SrcDemo/ you name anything SLaux. I usually do it like this because it's gonna save the frames with this prefix, and then it's gonna do 0001, and then for every frame that's saved, it's gonna add a number. So I usually leave it with a blank thing here. To actually ensure that the recording goes right, I've used a sample line that I'm using every time. It's this. It will be in the description. It will make sure that no voice is played in the whole demo, and it will rjar view model to 0. Its SV cheats is on so that you can actually use all these commands. It's always on a local server, so this doesn't really matter. This will make sure that your gun will not show, and this will disable shadows, because on older videos I forgot and you can still see the shadow of the player. Now also you want to set your HUD save text time to 0 so that you don't get any chat messages in game. And then finally you have to fill this in to go to srcdemo/slaux. I always leave it with a underscore right here so that it will be able to append the numbers right. When it saves to your folder, it will simply increment this number, and you're gonna get a lot of these, so to make it more visible, I always leave it with a underscore right there. Oh yeah, of course, the host frame rate, this is the number that we got. I'm always rendering at 900 because that's what we set right here in our SrcDemo2. It's the source engine frame rate is 900 FPS, so that's what we're gonna use. When that's done, you press enter. Nothing is gonna happen until you start playing the demo. Now this might be a little bit laggy because I'm running quite a few recording programs right now, so bear with me. It's gonna take quite a while because this is a very large demo. And it starts here. Now it will be very slow. This is in 900 FPS, so you shouldn't expect it to start moving right away. If you want to check that the demo is right, you can press your console key. It will bring it up, and in the background you can see that it's actually starting to play. If you hide it again, you can see it's now running at 900 frames per second. Do not open your console while recording because it will result in unstable footage and you will be missing frames. As you can see now, the frame was just shaking. This happens sometimes in GMOD, I don't know why. If this is happening, you have to reload your, look, you can see there. If this is happening, you have to reload your demo, you have to start the process all over again, because if you just continue like this, your whole demo is going to be shaky. It's really annoying if you find this out really late, so you should check before you start recording. Now, if you've, for one reason or another, it's failing this, but the first part of your whole demo is right, so you still have valid frames, you can use the demo UI utility to switch to the right frame. Now, you can't go back with this, so once you navigate to, it's very laggy for me now, sorry. You can go to a higher frame, click resume to continue at this point. You can only go ahead, you can't go back anymore, so when you're finding it, take cautious steps. That's really all you need to know about this. Now, I'm going to stop the demo because this lag is getting quite bad. Once you've stopped the demo, make sure you type end movie to make sure that the folder is cleaned up. Now, we're going back to my desktop. As you can see here, it's processed 1000 frames. It was running at 8 frames per second and it saved 71. Now, pardon me, it saved them in the output folder like I specified. And as you can see, it really records everything that's on your screen, even the twitches. And like you can see, this is a fine example of blending. It's look here, it blends 2 frames together and you will get crazy things like this. You'll always get this on teleporters and there's no way to go to remove it, so I'll just leave it like this. That's one way of doing it, and you'll get all these frames. What you have to do then, at least what I do, I'm using After Effects to render the whole thing. But what you have to do first is turn all these separate frames into one big video file. So to do that, you have to use Virtual Dub. It's available online for free as well. You can get it by typing Virtual Dub, and I think it's just yeah, you can go straight to the downloads page. It's on SourceForge. Let's see where we have the release build. I'm using 64 bits, so use this. Click download. You will get a zip file rather than an executable. So when that's downloaded, you can extract it to a folder. That's actually exactly what I've done. I extracted it to here. That's all you need. Then launch this. You will get this program. So go to your, let's see, frames directory. and simply all you have to do is select the first one. Virtual Dub will recognize that these are all number incrementals. Whoops. So it will automatically import all the frames. So we've got 71 frames. When we drag the first one in here, you will see it's got 71 frames. Now usually you will have something like 3,000 frames depending on what kind of length of the demo you're recording. All you have to do in Virtual Dub is click Video, Frame Rate, and set this to 60 FPS. By default it will render at 10, which is not what you want. You will get very strange footage. So set it to 60. Save as AVI. Now go to, I'm always just saving to my C disk because it gives best performance. For example in RAW, because this is the raw image file. Then click Save. This will also take a while. For me, it usually renders at about 7 frames per second, which is pretty fast, but you'll still have to wait quite a while. For this whole process, you'll also need a lot of disk space, because as you can see, for 71 frames, we've just got 400 megabytes. Again, I want good quality, so that's what I have to sacrifice. When this is done, simply put it in your frame or your video editing software. Make sure it's set at 60 frames per second, and export it to whatever you want. Now for a run like what I just did on aux, you have to have a lot of disk space. And I was experiencing a lot of trouble when recording this, so I looked into the alternatives that SrcDemo had. We can close this now. Someone's adding things to my Dropbox. In the SrcDemo2 folder, there's also the SrcDemo2 client. This is really just the command line for, this is the GUI, and this is the client command line for the srcdemo2.jar file. Now I've created a batch file that I'll also include exactly the contents of this in the description. Essentially what it does is it specifies the saving path to be srcdemo right here, and the output path to be my output directory. And in here I'm using the TGA file with a blending rate of 15. So essentially it's doing exactly the same, but it's using a lot less resources, and the client, the command line turned out to be a lot faster for me. I'm going to show you really quickly how exactly this works. I'm going to get rid of all these frames. I usually save them if I want to have them later in batch 1. Paste them. Now go to your SrcDemo2 folder and click custom.bat. As you can see, it's mounted to the SrcDemo folder here, and you can now start the movie in game. I've still got the command right here, so I can simply press arrow key up and I'll get it. I'm gonna save to SLaux again because that's really the only demo I have available. Maybe we won't get the shakiness now. Oh, I forgot going in game again. My bad. Let's go to the game. Sorry, stop demo and movie. What I just did was, okay, wait. I hate swapping monitors so often. If you failed here, simply open your task manager and look for Java. If you have multiple Java instances running, this is going to be difficult, but I only have one, which I know for sure it's this. Click End Process, and it will automatically shut that down. Sorry about that. I'm using Open Broadcaster software and sometimes forget to change screens. Now, again, launch custom.bat. It will again mount to this. Now, go in game properly. Since I just did a recording, I can simply go up again, paste this line. I'm using aux again because I don't have any others. Play demo SLaux A9, and then we'll open this up. Hopefully we won't get any shakiness now. A very nice feature about this, about the client command line, is that it actually shows, well, I was fascinated by this, but it shows using just ASCII code. It shows what it sees in game. If you go back to the game, sorry, if you look here, you can see the white parts are actually being translated into points. Okay, here it's going. It's shaky again, I think. Yes. So we'll have to reload it if you want to publish this, but I'm just using it for testing. I still really don't know the cause of the shaking, so you might not have it, but I have it, and it's really frustrating. I sometimes have to reload the whole demo and even my game 5 times before it starts recording normally. Well, when you go back to the client here, you can see it changes. You can see where exactly it is. We're now writing TGA files. If you go up a little bit, you can see the frames per second. As you can see here, it's saving at 20.55 frames per second versus we had 8, I think, just now. So it's a lot faster. It's really that's why I'm using this command line, simply because it's faster for saving frames, and it looks prettier, in my opinion. So as you can see here, it's simply saving raw TGA files, a lot of them. Now, once it's done, let's go back in game. Type end movie to stop demo. And I'm gonna just leave the game. And to end this process, you have to shut down java.exe. It will close. You can delete this. This is the background audio. I didn't know how to get rid of that with the command line, but you don't need it. Now you have all these frames again, and the process is going to be exactly the same. You open up Virtual Dub, you go to the directory where you have the frames, you drag the first one in, it will simply recognize all the frames. As you can see, we've got 135 now. Change the frame rate to 60, save as AVI. I'm going to save it TGA like this. Output size should be a lot bigger because we've got uncompressed images as well as more frames. I had a real struggle saving the amount of frames here. I think I had my E disk as well as my C and D drive. They were full to the notch, and I was only able to just fit all the frames in there. But I think most runs recorded with SrcDemo2, most especially long runs, will not be using that high quality standards. So for long runs like this, if you don't have the hard disk drive space, simply knock it down to, for example, 5 blending rates so you can still fit everything in. But for the most, I think runs that will be rendered will be between 1 and 3 minutes, which is easily doable. Now, again, when you have the raw file, just put it in your video editing software and it should be done. Put some nice music over it and you'll have, you'll have a nice BHOP video. I hope this explained most about SrcDemo2, about what you can do with it, the different settings, what's useful for bunny hop, and well, I hope we'll see new videos coming on soon. Thank you for watching.